Hayat Muse, thank you so much for joining us from Minneapolis.
Thank you for having me.
And I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about you and your work, your background, your story, and what's made the work that you do become so internationally known.
So my name is Hayat. I'm a student and youth activist from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm 17 years old, and what I do largely right now is education reform activism, and my activism is inspired by my life as a daughter of refugees, as a refugee coming to the US at the age of 4, and all of my experiences with the education system. And not too long ago, 2 years ago, I co-founded Labo, which is an entirely youth-powered education reform organization where we try not only to put more youth into education reform, but also just change education as a whole. And we have 4 main programs. That's our mentoring, our tutoring, our advocacy program, and our workshop programs. And right now, our biggest thing that we're doing is our advocacy, and we're pushing for more legislation to make school a welcoming and equitable place for everyone.
And when you started making this change happen, which I know is because you were not given the right educational opportunities, the right educational tools, and you realized that there's a kind of injustice already inside the system. Did you have any other activists that you were looking to and saying, oh, well, they've made change, this is what now I will do this? I mean, have you been inspired by other activists?
I have been inspired by many activists, especially when I started Labo. It was around the time that the youth climate change activism really took off. And I was just witnessing all the things that these amazing young people were doing and how much they cared. And definitely their activism and their work has served as a great inspiration for mine. And it's also just allowed me to know that I'm not alone in this. There are so many young people working to create change, just like me. And finding that community is what allows me to continue to do my activism work even today.
And when you meet other girls who kind of are interested in what you do, what advice do you give them when they say, I think I'd like to get involved, I'd like more purpose, or I have a passion? How do you help them find the right journey and the right tools for making change happen?
I echo what people have told me when I said the same words, when I said, oh, I want to create change and there's this issue that I'm passionate about and I want to get more involved. And what people have said to me was, find your why. And your why doesn't have to be a specific issue. It doesn't have to be climate change or education reform or Black Lives Matter or whatnot. Your why is your core principle that guides you, that allows you to continue doing what you're doing when it gets hard, when it gets tough, when you receive all the discouraging messages, when it seems like you're not really even making an impact. Your why is that one thing that will be like, this is why I'm doing this, and this is why I'm going to continue doing this. And after you find your why, I think the next thing is just be loud, scream from the rooftops, whoever you come across. I remember my first education reform activity was just going up to my principal and giving him a list of everything wrong with our school. Like, this is what we need to change, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. And it wasn't really productive, but it just allowed me to stick my head into the work, and it allowed me to get my starting point. I think that's all you need to do, is just be loud about whatever issue you're passionate about and know that your voice matters.
So, often and over again in all cultures, girls are told to be nice, to be quiet, to be docile, to be well behaved, to be obedient. You don't hold with that. Presumably, you insist on saying, no, we need to be loud, vocal, and present.
Yes, of course. And this is actually very interesting because it's something my own family has said to me. If you can't tell, I'm not an extroverted person. I never have been. I've always been the quiet, calm person in the back of the room, not usually center stage. So when I started going into activism and I started doing what I'm doing, I just remember my family being like, oh, who's influencing you to do this? Why have you changed your entire personality? Why are you becoming this person? And it wasn't that I changed my personality. It wasn't that I wasn't Hayat anymore. It wasn't that I was no longer an introvert. It was just that I realized that my voice was needed and my voice was necessary, and that's above anything else. So you can be traditionally, you don't need a specific set of qualities to become an activist. You don't need to be an outgoing person. You don't need to be an extrovert. You can be quiet, you can be shy, you can be all of those qualities, but also recognize that your voice needs to be heard, regardless. So I think it's very interesting that I did receive that same feedback. I did receive that same feedback of, oh, you're a girl, know a girl's place, especially coming from a traditionally Somali family. But it was also just my why that has kept me grounded, that has allowed me to not let those negative thoughts come into my work or influence me in any way.
And if you have a dream for the future for girls of the world, what would that look like? What do you want to make sure happens?
I think if I had a dream for girls, it would just be above all equity. It would be, I wish girls didn't have to fight so hard for what we deserve. I wish we were born into the world, like most people were, into a world that gives us our basic necessities and allows us to be us and allows us to be individuals and doesn't restrict us. So I think my vision for girls is, it's a very utopian vision, to reuse that word. It's a vision of a world where just because being a girl doesn't truly mean much, you know, it doesn't mean that you're oppressed, and it doesn't mean that you're inferior, or it doesn't mean that you have to fight harder than the rest. Being a girl just means you're simply a girl, and that's it. And that's what I would wish for girls everywhere.
Yeah, let's get there. Let's get there. Thanks, Hayat. Lovely to speak to you. And
lovely to speak to you as well. Thank you.
See you again. Bye.